Hey, Mama. So, I have been talking a lot about social media burnout on Instagram, which is so ironic. But the reason why is that I've been getting lots of messages from other mamas who are feeling burnt out on the platform. And so today I want to talk all about my journey with social media burnout and how I overcame it, but specifically how to ditch social media burnout and make social media optional, or at least to be able to use it in a way that feels good to you and is not taking up so much of your time. So let's jump into today's episode. Hey, Mama. Welcome to the Mama Turn Mompreneur podcast. I'm your host, Andria Singletary, a wife, mama of two, and former virtual assistant turned podcast strategist and producer. This is the podcast for the mama who is burnt out trying to build her business on social media. You're tired of putting in so much time and energy marketing your business on social media, only to hear crickets and barely get any engagement on your posts. You don't have time to waste as a busy mama, and you need an effective way to generate leads for your business. Well, Mama, you're in the right place. On this podcast, I will be giving you the inside scoop on how to create a podcast that generates consistent leads for your business on autopilot, mixed in with some mompreneur hacks and tips for growing your business as a busy mama. So grab your coffee, your notebook and pen, put in those earbuds, and let's dive in. All right, so before we get into today's topic, I am so excited because the social media detox bundle goes live tomorrow. Woo-woo! I am so excited about this because one, this is my very first bundle, but two, it was created out of my heart and passion for mom business owners. And I see how so many of you guys are just really burnt out and just drained from trying to grow your business on Instagram. And I use Instagram because I feel like Instagram is the biggest culprit here, especially when it comes to that social media burnout. So this bundle, I have collaborated with some amazing powerhouse mamas who have grown and scaled their businesses to six figures, who are showing up and creating this incredible business that fits their life. It's not running their life. It's not leading to burnout or different things like that, because they have found ways to really grow their business in a way that feels good to them, but is also sustainable. So just to give you a little sneak peek. So one of the contributors is Michaela Taylor. Now, she was a guest back in episode 62 where she was talking about all things blogging. She is the queen of blogging and SEO, but she contributed this amazing SEO audit. And it comes with a mini training and ebook. But I want to talk about the audit. Basically, you put in your website URL and you get this detailed report letting you know how you're doing SEO wise. I did it because I had to test all of the links for each of the contributors. And baby, that report, it got my whole life together. One, I was nice to know to see like I was doing really good in certain areas, but it also showed me where I can make improvements. And it is just so incredible. Like this entire resource that she put together, you're not going to want to miss that. Another one I want to highlight is Felicia Pugh. Now, she was a guest back in episode 12, and she created this amazing training on creating systems to build a sustainable business. And a big part of building a sustainable business is having systems in place. So that way you're not having to go in and manually do things that can be automated. And so she breaks down her 4-part framework that is going to help you experience freedom through systems. And you guys, that is not even half of the resources available. I've contributed a few resources, but there are so many other amazing powerhouse mamas that have really put their heart into the resources that they created. And so this is something that you do not want to miss out on. So again, the bundle goes live tomorrow. Now, if you're not on my email list, I highly recommend you get on it right now so that way you don't miss out on this bundle. So if you want to get on the wait list, head on over to mompreneur.com/waitlist. All right, let's get into today's topic. So I want to start off by sharing my social media burnout story. So at the start of this year, I thought it was a bright idea to try to show up on just about every platform. So I had my podcast. I was posting multiple times on Instagram. So I was doing the stories, the reels, the carousels, all of the things. I was posting on Facebook. I was engaging in Facebook groups. I was posting on LinkedIn. I was creating blog posts. I was also doing Pinterest. I was literally doing all of the things. And you know what? Even with doing all of the things, I got barely any new leads. I only launched one new podcast in January. I didn't really get many inquiries about my services. I was churning out all of this content and not seeing results. And the reason why was that I was so focused on putting out content that I wasn't really, one, engaging with the audience I already had. Two, I wasn't really being strategic in how I was pushing out this content. Now, yes, I was repurposing content, but I wasn't being strategic about it. I wasn't really getting into the mind of my ideal clients. And I did need to work on my messaging. All of that came into play. But at the end of the day, putting out all of that content just led to burnout. And I see this happen a lot with so many business owners. You know, we try to show up on all of the social media platforms. I didn't do TikTok. That was when I didn't really get on. I have a TikTok account. I mostly go on it to just look at videos for entertainment, but I see a lot of business owners trying to be on all of the platforms. And even those who have their messaging down and, they are really clear on who they serve and all of that. And maybe they were getting results before, but now it's just crickets. And what I want to highlight with that is we tend to get into this habit of just focusing on social media. A lot of us, when we first start out in business, we pick a social media platform and then we kind of stay there. And the thing is that our ideal clients, they're not just on social media. And as we've seen lately too, it's just so much noise on these social media platforms. Instagram and the algorithm, that's just a whole mess in and of itself. And so you see things even just scrolling on Instagram, you see people's posts getting maybe 1-2 likes or whatever. And I know likes are vanity metrics and whatnot, but you're not really getting that engagement. And I think a big part of the problem is that there's just so much content on a single platform that it's overwhelming. It's information overload. And so your ideal clients, they're not on the platform as much as they used to be. If they are, a lot of times they're looking at videos for entertainment, or they're not really engaging with the content like they used to because it's just so much information. Now, for you as a business owner, your response or what you're told often is to put out more content so that way the algorithm favors you. But it's at what point do you stop? At what point is enough enough? And that's kind of the point I reached I started this in January, so probably by March, April, I was burnt out. Actually, no. I take that back. By February, I was burnt out. And so I made my last reel in February. It wasn't working for me. I would get likes and whatnot. I would get comments and whatnot, but it wasn't really leading to any conversions. Now, I'm pretty sure, social media manager can come and tell me, hey, this is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z, which is great. I fully get that, but it just didn't feel good to me. And I think that is one of the things I want to point out here. When it gets to the point where creating content doesn't feel good to you, and it's something you dread rather than enjoy, it's time to take a step back and look at what you're doing and seeing if there is a better way that you can create content, because you want to enjoy creating content. It needs to be something that lights you up, because if not, it's going to reflect in the content that you create. Your audience will be able to tell, like, yeah, she's just doing this because she knows she needs to put out content. It's not something she actually enjoys. It's going to come out in your content, whether it's a tone of voice, even within like your writing content, whether it's how you look on camera, it's going to come out that you're not actually enjoying it. So around February, March, I decided to take a break from social media. I stopped posting altogether. I think I may have done stories, but more so just like resharing other stories, like for entertainment or like, like highlighting mom life, that kind of stuff. And I took that step back and I really started focusing on my podcast and my email. And it felt so good because I no longer felt that pressure to show up on Instagram. And I saw a shift in my business. I got clearer on my messaging and everything, and I started to really incorporate that into my podcast content and in my emails. And so with my emails, it has taken time to really navigate that, because that's the other thing too. Like with your podcast and your email, there are different ways of creating content. So you can't just take your strategies from Instagram and apply it to your podcast or even to your email. There's a lot more that goes into it, and it's just a different way of creating content. And so I had to adjust to that. And so I was really glad that I took that step away from Instagram so that I could really learn these platforms, really learn the best practices for them to ensure that I was showing up in the right way, that I was creating my content in the right way to really reach my ideal clients, to really, clearly communicate to them who I am, what I do, and how I can best support them. So after I took that break from social media, so again, just kind of like taking a step back from Instagram business wise, I made that shift and really focused on my email, my podcast. And then I decided that I was ready to come back to Instagram, but I wanted to do it differently. I really started to look at Instagram differently. And I know people say this all the time, Instagram, it's a social media platform. So it's about, building connections and relationships and everything. But I feel like a lot of us miss that as business owners. And that's what I was missing. And so I really started to look at Instagram as a way to more of like nurture and build those one-on-one connections with my audience. And so one change that I made was I switched to the 9-grid format. I took off the pressure of trying to create content for my feed. I was over that. I was done with it. And honestly, at this point, I don't know if I'll ever go back to creating content for my feed. I may one day, I may eventually invest in a social media manager and strategist and have them handle that for me. But at this time, I feel good about the 9-grid format on my feed. I also switched to just focusing on doing stories. And I love stories. I get so many messages from people in my audience about how they feel like they are on FaceTime with me in my stories. And that's how I view it. I view it as a way to like I'm speaking to one person one-on-one. In reality, it's like anybody who views my stories, listening or whatever. But I really enjoy that feeling of like I'm on FaceTime with a close friend and we're chatting about stuff. We're chatting about business and mom life and different things like that. And that feels good to me. And I will do Instagram lives at times. Like I don't do them often. I only do them when someone invites me, to do a live. But I mostly, again, I use Instagram just for that connection building and really getting to know people in my audience and whatnot. And because I've really shifted my mindset around that platform and I no longer feel this pressure to put out content, and because I have set things up in a way where my podcast is generating leads for me even when I'm not hitting publish on an episode. My email list, it's growing. Just within the last 7 days, I've gotten 50 people on my email list. And I didn't have to do a lot to make that happen. So these things are working for me. I'm bringing in new leads without having to put out a lot of content. And that feels good to me. And that's what you need as a business owner. That's how you're not going to feel that burnout. Because again, with a platform like Instagram, if that is your only way of bringing in new leads, nurturing and engaging with your audience and educating them and bringing them value, if you're doing it all on one platform, you have to put out a lot of content. The thing is with Instagram, it's like you you have these social media gurus telling you, oh, it's all about the value you create in your content. But at the same time, you see them putting out one reel, one carousel, multiple stories, all of this content on a daily basis. And so it's like, okay, well, which one is it? Do I just have to focus on creating a few pieces of valuable content each week? Or do I need to be churning out multiple pieces of content on a daily basis? And so that's where it's like it gets confusing, but also too, maybe you're not putting out a lot of content, but then you're not seeing the results. And so you feel the pressure to put out more content. And that is why you need to not put all of your marketing eggs in one basket. If you want to build a sustainable business, you can't build it on a single platform. That is what leads to burnout. So it's this cycle of you have this one platform that is going to bring in your leads, you're going to nurture your audience, you're going to engage with them, and you're going to convert them all on one platform. And so, yes, you have to create multiple pieces of content because you have people in your audience that are at different stages. You have those who are your cold leads, you have those who are your warm leads, and you have those who are your hot leads, ready to buy leads. And so you need to create content that appeases each of those people and get them moving along in your funnel, but you're doing it all on one platform. And that is why you're burnt out. But if you have a system in place where, for instance, your podcast is bringing in new leads, but also starting that nurturing process, and then you can direct them over to either your email list or your Instagram, where you can connect with them one-on-one, have those one-on-one conversations, get to know them better, and really earn their trust and build that know and like factor. But you're not having to create a whole bunch of content in the sense of your podcast, you can put out one episode a week. Your email, you can send 1 to 2 emails a week. And it's going to do all of that for you. It's going to get people moving along in your funnel. If you want to ditch the burnout, you need to pick 2 platforms that you enjoy. And at least one needs to be a platform you own. So you're going to use one primarily for lead generation and the other primarily for nurturing and relationship building. Now, yes, you are going to have people who, for instance, I have people who listen to my podcast who convert immediately from my podcast. I have people who follow me on Instagram and convert, instantly from Instagram. So it's like, it doesn't mean that it's just going to be one or the other as far as like how it works for you, but you want to like really set it up so that the top of your sales funnel, how people are coming in, it's something that doesn't require you to do a whole bunch in the sense of like creating a whole bunch of content. So that is why you want to have at the top of your sales funnel that evergreen content. So your podcast, if you like doing YouTube, blogging. So like driving people to your website, using SEO, or you can do it through email and you have that lead magnet that's going to bring them in. That is something that's not going to require you to have to create so much content that you're getting burnt out. So pick your two platforms. Make sure they are platforms that you enjoy. And then you can choose another platform for relationship building. So if you want that to be Instagram, that is totally okay. But you want to think of it as a way to nurture those relationships, build that connection. And if you're kind of focusing on it that way, you're not going to feel that pressure to post so much content, but also too, you've built this complete sales funnel. But if you're like, you know what, I don't even want to deal with social media, you don't have to. There is nothing that says you have to be on social media to have a successful business. You just need to have a way of creating content and making sure that it is reaching your audience, your ideal clients. And you also want to have a way where they can connect with you one-on-one. And so if you are like, you know what, I'm done with social media, I do not want to be on Instagram, then hey, a podcast and an email list is a great option. Again, if you want to do like a blog or some other type of evergreen long form content, that can work for you. The main point I want to make here is that you don't want to be burnt out. And in order to not be burnt out, you need to not put all of your marketing eggs in one basket. You need to create a complete funnel for your sales system. So you need to have a way that you're generating leads, and preferably something that's going to allow you to do it on autopilot. And then you want to have a way where you can connect with people one-on-one to further build those relationships and further earn their trust. So that is the answer to ditching social media burnout. But also too, if you want to make social media optional, you can totally do that. So if you want to learn how to actually make social media optional and do an actual social media detox, my social media detox bundle is what you need. You are going to have access to some incredible resources that are going to help you set up your business so that one, you're building a sustainable business, but also you're not dealing with that burnout anymore. You can take a step away from social media or leave it completely if you want to. So if that is you, if you're ready to do this, head on over to mompreneur.com/waitlist and hop on the waitlist. The bundle goes live tomorrow and I am just so excited about this, guys. Like, it is about to be so phenomenal. All right, y'all, that is all that I have for you today. I will catch you in the next episode. Mama, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang with me. Whether you're a podcaster ready to create podcast content that attracts her dream clients, or a mama that's ready to stop the social media burnout and simplify her marketing through podcasting, I can support you. Head on over to mompreneur.com/connect to submit an interest form so we can chat about how I can best support you. All right, Mama, I will talk to you again soon.